the other part is something people haven't really heard too much about, and that's called methylation. Methylation. And this is a fascinating thing. I've been trying to sort it out for several years. And there's a really growing solid literature on this in the mainstream psychiatric journals. And this has to do with the methyl group. And methyl groups come from folic acid. And first of all, a large number of people with any psychiatric disorders, emotional disorders, cardiovascular disease, have trouble using folic acid. And so that's very significant, because if you can't use folic acid, you have trouble making and breaking down neurotransmitters. So that's very important, obviously, for what we're talking about in cardiovascular disease. Also important in terms of genetic expression. So this is really fascinating. Let's say your grandfather, or say your grandmother, that's probably better. Your grandmother was starving in Russia for 20 years. Forget seeing spinach. She never saw spinach. She had potatoes and meat. And so what happens is her methylation process changes so that certain genes that should be turned off are actually turned on. Now, she's been having this semi-famine state since the time she's a little girl. The eggs in her ovaries kind of start developing, and then she has a baby at some point. Now, the genes in the eggs are fine, but some of them are turned on when they should be turned off, or turned off when they should be turned on, and so they're transmitted to the baby as turned on or turned off. So the book that should not be read is being read, or the book that shouldn't be read, or vice versa, right? So it's not just the genes. These genes are not static. They're affected by the environment, and that environmental influence is carried forward through the generations. So it might look like, you're having a psychiatric problem because of your genes or some other factor you can't determine, but it can have to do with your grandparents